The best way I have to explain to you how in the world we got to the place we are is to equate mortgage lending with drug dealing. Okay? Because it's really the same thing, right? The mortgage lender goes to the distributor, right? The distributor hands it to the, on the street guy, which may be a mortgage broker, could be a loan officer from a bank. Let's call it a mortgage broker. That mortgage broker's job is to make sure that everybody gets access to the drugs, right? And in the beginning, they did this by going to basic borrowers who did not, buy houses yet. They were renters. And they went to them and they said, look, I got something for you. It's a 30-year fixed. It's good, it's clean, it's harmless. A lot of my best friends are on this same thing. And look, most of America's on it. And so the renter went, that sounds good, I'll take one, right? But it's my first time, so make sure you explain it all to me. And so it's explained. There's warning labels on the documents. So the guy gets into the house and everything's going fine, right? But what does the American consumer do with their debt? Do they pay it down or drive it up? Right, so they buy the house and it may be a little bit more than they can afford, but whatever. So soon enough they realize they're in trouble. They can't afford their payment. So they call up the dealer. And they're like, hey man, I need something. Turns out, I can't really afford to pay this thing back. I'm in a little bit of trouble. And the dealer goes, that's not a problem, we got stuff. And so the dealer would look at their product, and at this time the distributor has delivered some new product to the market. And so the dealer goes, well, I got this thing, and we can get you cash out of your house, but you don't totally make enough money to qualify. And the guy goes, well, what do I need to make? And they're like, you'd have to make $6,000. But with this new product, you could just say you make $6,000, we'll believe you. And the guy goes, well, tell me what would be the effects? And he goes, well, the effects is we pay off all your bills, and we give you $20,000 cash. So if you can't even afford your payments some months, use some of that 20 grand. And the guy goes, hit me. So he gets them into this new stated income loan. They increase their value of their income, and then they get the stated income loan. Everything's going great. Except that the 20 grand, he used it, right? Because his neighbor got a boat. And if your neighbor gets a boat, then you've got to get a boat, right? And the car he was driving wasn't big enough, so he needed a Humvee, right? The big Hummer, right? Because he buys a big old car. Now he's in debt again, and he goes back to the dealer. He's like, what you got, man? And the dealer goes, all right, I got this thing. We can lower your payment and give you more cash. The guy goes, how can you do that? He goes, my distributor just dropped off interest-only loans, which means you only make an interest-only payment, not a full payment, so your payment goes down. And the guy goes, all right, hit me. And so he gets into an interest-only stated income loan, and he brings his stated income up, right? But when he does that, he pays his mortgage on time instead of going and getting defaulted on. Are you with me? So he should have been foreclosed on right there, and we would have corrected the situation. But the distributor didn't want that, so they kept feeding more and more product to market. And at some point, the guy goes to his dealer, and he's like, got a bit of a twitch. He's all, man, I kind of got crazy again, and now I need something else. And the guy's like, well, I got this thing. It's called an option arm. You don't even make an interest-only payment. You make a below interest-only payment, and we get you cash. We got to stay a little higher, but we can do it. The guy goes, do it. Give me something, give me something. And so he gives him this new option arm, right? And so he's on the negative payment, right? So he's not making a full payment. And eventually that payment resets, and now he owes way more than his current payment. But by now he's so deep in debt, and he's so deep into his house, and he's freaking out, right? So then he comes back to his dealer. He's like, man, I need something. The spiders, stop the spiders. And he's all itching all over the place. And at that point, the dealer goes, let me go see what I can do. And he goes back to the distributor, but the distributor has nothing to sell. Because what happened is the cops showed up. Right? The government came in, and they're like, let's look at some of that product you've been dealing. And all the product was determined to be bad. They passed all these laws so you couldn't get the guy off the drug. And at this point, the dealer's on the drug. right? Because a lot of people who are originating loans were like, this looks really good for them. I need to take some too, right? You never get high off your own supply. Write that down. Notorious B.I.G. said it, and it was wonderful. So that's what happened, is people started getting high off their own supply, and that's how gradually you got more and more people involved until it crashed.